Okay, real question. So, how old is too old to date? And how young is too young to date? Like, is there a formula? Well, when it comes to dating up, there's not a formula, but some say that dating down, there is a formula. You go half your age plus 7. But what we're really going to talk about today is how old is too old. Welcome to my colorful life after a great divorce. My name's Regan, also known as the Easy Ex-Wife, and on this channel we talk all about divorce and dating and living your best life after the age of 50. If we're going down in age and we use that classic formula, that would put me at, I gotta quickly do the math. I am 56, so half my age, 28 plus 7, that would be 35. So listen, I am not going to be dating a 35-year-old. I mean, unless they were really mature. But basically, according to that formula, 35 is the lowest I can go for society to consider it acceptable. Of course, that rule's not gospel, but I guess it's a decent starting point because I would really like to avoid the raised eyebrows. But how old is too old for me to date? Well, I've got a story for you. Before we get back to the topic at hand, I wanted to show you real quick the Plaza where I'm sitting. You get a great view of the Empire State Building. I love it, and it's right near Whole Foods. It's over by Peloton, and it's just got some cute little shops and some restaurants, and it's really, really clean and well maintained. So I do love hanging out on this plaza, and I just wanted to show it to you. You guys, it is such a beautiful day and I'm outside of Whole Foods. I have to go to yoga in a little bit, but I needed to run to Whole Foods and grab some things beforehand, and I just wanted to tell you this story because this just happened to me. I went to the dermatologist. It was a brand new dermatologist, and I just go in and do skin checks because I did have a melanoma. Gosh, now it's been probably over 10 years, and I can tell you that story one day if you ever want to know. I found it myself. But anyway, I go and I'm really diligent about getting my regular skin checks. I digress. So I go to the dermatologist, and she was great, very nice, and took pictures. We did a consultation, spent some time together. And she said to me, she's like, "Oh, well, what's your story?" And I had told her, what brought me to New York and going through divorce. And she goes, "Oh, I have a guy for you. He comes in here all the time. He takes great care of his skin," which of course is something that a dermatologist would say. But she said, "Oh, he gets lots of treatments," because this dermatologist also does cosmetic dermatology, which I'm not really interested in. And she goes, "If you want, I can get rid of those forehead lines." And I said, "You know what? I like my forehead lines, and I really just want to make sure my skin is in good shape and healthy, and I don't have any suspicious moles or freckles." Okay, anyway, I digressed again. So she said, "I have this guy for you." And she said, "He's very wealthy and very attractive for his age." And I said, "Well, how old is he?" And she said, "He has an apartment in Paris." I said, "How old is he?" "He's got a beach house in the Hamptons." "Well, how old is he?" He's a lawyer, he's super, super successful. And I said, how old is he? And she said, he's 75. Now, meanwhile, she already knew my age because we had gone over that in the consultation. And I've got to say, I was just slightly offended. One, because I don't really care how much money he has, and I'm not going to date someone just because he's got an apartment in Paris and a house in the Hamptons. I mean, it would certainly be nice, but I just said, no way, no, that's way too old for me. And I said, in 5 years, he's going to be 80. And he's so much older than like my oldest brother, closer to my mom's age than to my age. So for me, it was a hard pass. And I was telling one of my best friends about it, and she said, well, I think you should have just gone and met for coffee. Now, let me tell you, this is a friend of mine who says, oh, wouldn't it be so great to not have to work and to be with someone wealthy that just took care of you? And my answer to that was, no, I love my job and I plan to keep working in my 80s because it keeps me in great shape. I think it keeps me young, it keeps my brain active. So we're on totally different pages. And it actually what she said did not make me reconsider maybe going out for coffee. What do you think? I mean, he's 19 years older than me. And if we were much younger, maybe it would not be as big of a deal. But one of my friends who is now in her early 60s and in fabulous shape, she used to come to my spin studio in Park City and was very active, looked super young for her age. She got married to someone a good 20 years older than her when she was in her late 20s. And she said at the time, it didn't seem that much older. He just seemed, they were both living in New York City back then. She said he was just well established, knew lots of people, and she found it really, really appealing and sexy at the time. But now that she's 62 and he's well into his 80s and having lots of health problems, she says it's really, really a struggle because she now wishes she was with someone closer to her own age that took good care of themselves. So that's the question. What do you guys think? I really want to know your thoughts on this one. Okay, but before you answer that question, I think there are a few things you should take into consideration. We should take into consideration when we are going to date someone older. Because really, there's no upper limit unless you're clashing on these few things, like health and mobility, lifestyle pace, and long-term goals. Is your potentially significant other ready for retirement, or are they already retired? Or are they someone like me that wants to continue career climbing until they're no longer able to do that? So if you're like me and in your 50s, there's really no reason why we couldn't date someone in our 60s, 70s, or 80s. So I would say it's totally in bounds if your chemistry, your health, and your values are all compatible. But I do think there are a few good questions you should ask yourself before you date someone that is significantly older than you are. One would be, do you genuinely enjoy each other's company aside from physical attraction? Number two would be, can you have meaningful conversations? And number three would be, are you both at similar life stages? And if the answer is yes, then I guess it just doesn't really matter. For me personally, I do not plan on dating anyone that is closer to my mom's age than my own age. And On Hinge, what I put was 45 as my lowest, the lowest age I would go, and I put 62 as the oldest age I would go. But I've got to say, like, I have not swiped on anyone. Have I? No, I haven't swiped on anyone that's older than my age so far. Okay, so now I want to hear from you guys. What is the youngest you would go? So you'll have to say how old you are in the comments. And what is the oldest you would go? I really want to know. And I hope you loved today's video. I loved making it for you. What an interesting conversation. I can't wait to hear all your comments. I thank you so much for joining me. I love you. I will see you next time. And if you haven't already, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I will see you next time I see you. Bye.